This is my review of MGMT's self-titled third album. It was released in 2013 and produced by Dave Friedman. So I don't know a lot of information on the background of this album. When I was reading Wikipedia, so who knows if it's true or not, there was a thing that said that the band gave an interview where they basically said that Columbia Records wasn't happy with the reception of Congratulations, so that they were going to have less freedom on this album. But then they kind of backtracked on that. But I kind of I wonder if that's true to an extent, because they go back to the producer that they worked with on Oracular Spectacular for this one. But at the same time, it kind of doesn't seem like they had less freedom, because this is a weird album. I wasn't really I don't know, when this album came out, I wasn't aware of it coming out. I think the first time I heard anything off of it was I heard the first track. I saw my cousin showed me the music video. I think it was at Christmas, we were having Christmas dinner actually. He was like, "Oh, have you seen this new MGMT song?" And showed me the video. And I kind of immediately liked that. It wasn't until, honestly can't remember when I bought this album, but it wasn't until later, because I kind of saw some of the other videos and wasn't super into the other singles that they released for it. So it did take me a while to pick it up. When I first listened to it, I was kind of confused. I didn't really know what to think of the whole album. Not a lot of it really stuck out. It's kind of a challenging album. Definitely one that the more I listened to it, the more I appreciate it. But it took a while to really get into. And that Congratulations was a little bit like that for me. Compared to Oracular Spectacular. Oracular Spectacular kind of immediately got into. Congratulations took a little bit of time. This one took even more time, because it's just even more out there. And it doesn't, this album really doesn't try to be catchy and poppy at all, like some of those do, at least in places. There are definitely, I think, songs on here that are catchy, but then there are ones that just aren't really at all. So definitely a more challenging album than either of their first two to get into. But I think this album's got kind of a bad reputation. I don't really talk to a lot of people who are into these guys, but I know me and my cousin, my brother, all listen to them, and this is kind of the one that everybody's not really sure about that one. So definitely I feel one of their weirder albums. So the album opens with Alien Days, which was the first track I heard off of it. My cousin showed me the music video. That's always been my favorite song on this album. It's probably up there for my favorite MGMT song. I really love that song. Just instrumentally, it sounds really cool. Whatever that weird noise in the beginning of the album that they got, or in the beginning of the song that goes on, is really cool. I think it's a really catchy song. I think it's the catchiest song on here. I really like the lyrics. They're kind of strange. I think he said it's about an alien, aliens controlling your mind or something. So another kind of just weird lyric like they do, but really enjoyable. The music video is really weird and trippy. It's got this dancing alien that's kind of creepy. Great music video though. But yeah, Alien Days, a really big highlight of the band's whole career for me. Great opening track. The second track, Cool Song number 2. This one I got into a lot quicker than most of the other stuff on the album. It's kind of darker sounding musically, and I kind of feel when they said they had less freedom, and well, like I said, I don't know if that's actually true or not, because I guess they backtracked on it, but they went back to the guy that produced the first album on this album, and so I feel Columbia might have been asking them, hey, do something more like Oracular Spectacular, because I've heard that they did that again on the next album as well. And I think that in a way they kind of did do something that was sort of more like Oracular Spectacular than Congratulations with this album. But they didn't do the catchy poppy stuff that everybody knows off that album. They kind of went back to, I feel the like Birds, Moons, and Monsters type of song, and songs like that that weren't as big off that album and kind of like went in that direction. At least to me, that's what it sounds like. Especially with this song and some of the others, it just feels like they kind of listened to, or I don't know if they listened to, but they kind of just went back to that way they were going with some of those weirder songs off Oracular Spectacular. And so they could kind of be like, yeah, we did do something like Oracular Spectacular, but just not, Electric Feel. So yeah, pretty cool song, which is fitting because that's its title. Third track, Mystery Disease. This one has a lot of co-writers on it. I wasn't really familiar with any of their names, but they're all like music producers. One of them was in like Elton John's band, so they're like people pretty big in the industry, I suppose. And it's kind of strange to me because it's not like, I don't think this, for me, and I like this song. I think it's really one of the catchier things on here, but I don't think it's anywhere like nearly as catchy as the first two songs, which to me is kind of strange since they had all these co-writers on it. But it's a pretty good track. Another kind of dark, moody sounding one. I think on it and on a lot of the songs on this album, the vocals are just a little too low in the mix for me because it's hard to hear what he's saying, and it's kind of a shame because there's some really just like interesting and amusing lyrics on this album if you go through and read them in the booklet, but like you can't hear them on a lot of these songs. The fourth track, Introspection, is a cover, which I didn't even realize was a cover until I like started looking at the booklet more closely, like the first couple times I was listening to this, because it fits in really well with the sound of the rest of the album. And it's a good song. I enjoy it quite a bit. Kind of a highlight of this first half of the album. The fifth track, Your Life Is a Lie. This one took a little while to grow on me. I think there was a video to this one. I'm pretty sure it's one of the other songs that I heard before I got the album. I don't know if it was a single or not, but probably was if there was a video. So yeah, this track, kind of funny lyrics in a depressing sort of way, I guess. The music of it and everything is kind of like the rhythm and the way all of it goes just really fits the kind of funny lyric. The sixth track, A Good Sadness, is for me where the album starts to kind of get really weird. It's kind of a little, I feel like they sort of eased you into the weirdness a little bit, because like Alien Days is the most kind of normal song, and the cool song number 2 gets a little bit weirder, and then it kind of, I guess it doesn't consistently get like weirder, but it kind of like gets weirder and then gets a little less weird, and then just really drops into weirdness with this album, with this song. So yeah, yesterday I put this album on. I was hanging out with my brother, and I put it on, and we were just kind of listening to it and talking, and like this song is one of those songs that just goes by, and like you don't even realize you've heard it because it's so weird. It's really hard to hear the vocals or make out like any kind of like catchy melody with the vocals because they're kind of like buried in it a little bit in the sound, at least I feel like. Which that's kind of a case with some of these songs. It's kind of a shame because the lyrics are pretty interesting, and pretty amusing if you like read through them, but it's really hard to hear some of them. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's just there's not really anything that like memorable about it as far as lyrically or like instrumentally or anything. It just kind of is there and then it's gone. So that's probably my least favorite track on the album because I just, every time I hear it, I can't remember what it sounds like 5 minutes later. 7th track, Astromancy, sort of similar to A Good Sadness in some ways. It's kind of hard to make out what he's saying lyrically. It's definitely more of like kind of weird atmospheric music than anything like catchy, which I do enjoy it. And the right mood. It's not something that like I would put on, I don't know, if I'm like driving around in the car and want to like sing along to something. The 8th track, I Love You to Death. I think I'd have liked this one more if the vocals were more audible because I think the lyrics interesting. and I think it would be kind of catchy, but just the way that it's kind of like you just can't really hear it, what he's singing. It kind of just blends in with the music for most of the song. The ninth track, Plenty of Girls in the Sea. This one they go kind of back to their more normal poppy stuff, and it's a pretty catchy song. Another kind of minor highlight, and it definitely stands out after those like 3 weirder tracks. And then the 10th and closing track, An Orphan of Fortune. It's kind of a cool closer. Instrumentally, it's got some cool stuff, got a cool atmosphere to it. But once again, it's one that just doesn't really stick in your memory a whole lot, or at least it doesn't for me. So MGMT, their third album, it's not my favorite of their albums. I think it's definitely the most challenging one that they'd released up to this point. I don't know, like Alien Days to me is really catchy, but that's the only thing on here that like quite reaches that level. And then it just kind of, I don't know, like to me, I would say up through from Alien Days to Your Life is a Lie, so like the first 5 songs I really like, and I think they're all good. And like up to that point, the album's going great, and then it hits the 6th track, a good Sadness, and you have kind of like this 3-track like group of 3 weird songs that are a little all similar, and that like none of them are that catchy. They're all kind of just like atmospheric music where it's kind of hard to hear the vocals and stuff. And that part to me is I think what kind of loses me about this album a little bit. And then you kind of have like one song that kind of sticks out a little bit there, Plenty of Girls in the Sea, and then you have the last song where it kind of ends. So I don't know. I do really like this album, but I just think that the kind of atmospheric, instrumental, dark, kind of weirder songs that they were doing on it, and especially that 3-song section, they're just not really that memorable. So like they don't stick out a lot in my mind when I think about this album. See, I think this is an album that it's got some really good stuff on it, kind of mixed quality-wise though, but it's definitely not as like bad as I think it has a reputation for. But I wouldn't start here. I would probably listen. Well, I mean, with these guys, it's probably just best to like go in order of listening to their stuff if you're picking it up. But like, this is definitely not the first MGMT album to get into them, because there's just kind of a lot of weird stuff on here that probably most people aren't going to be that into.